Wow, c'est très impressionnant.
Well, that's very impressive. Well, good evening. My name is Jacques Dasnoy. I'm here to talk about social entrepreneurs. That's my work, and I'm paid for this. I'm here to make you dream, and I'm going to tell you that being social entrepreneur is great. It's inspiring. It changes the world. It's a universe with change makers and pioneers. And that tomorrow, in 10 years, any young entrepreneur who wants to be starting will want to be a social entrepreneur. What I'm going to tell you is that it's the way of life of the 21st century. You know, the way of life of the 21st century. So it's a social entrepreneur in London who told me this, and we were very sober when he said that. So I'm going to tell you again, if I want to make you dream, I'm going to tell you that tomorrow everybody will be a social entrepreneur. Even my grandmother, because there is no age. Even Donald Trump will think that he's the best social entrepreneur, and it's probably the best way to give thousands of jobs to thousands of people. And even Yunus, my cat, will also be a social entrepreneur, because social entrepreneur has no border. And if you tell me the opposite, it doesn't matter. I will tell you that you are narrow-minded. I'm going to tell you that social entrepreneur is a momentum. It's a movement which really outdates the traditional actors. Philanthropy is too narrow-minded. The public hand, well, they're useless. Big companies, well, they started being social entrepreneurs. In capitalism, the future of capitalism is social entrepreneur. I will be the Nick Naylor of social entrepreneur. If you don't know who's Nick Naylor, well, it doesn't matter. You just you should watch Thank You for Smoking, a very interesting activist movie. Should I go on? Well, I'm going on. A social entrepreneur is a revolution, a social and economic revolution. A revolution where we can have a number of performances, where we can be profitable, but we also have a fair distribution of wealth. Social entrepreneurship is profit is a means, but not the objective, but not the end. We want to have the highest environmental impact possible. Social entrepreneurs, those super entrepreneurs, those plus entrepreneurs, they change our world because they understood one thing. It is possible to reintegrate two words which we were told were completely opposite. How to be an entrepreneur, how to be successful, an individual, and on the other hand, social, general interest, sharing, selflessness, altruism. So social entrepreneur just demonstrate that it works. It's obvious. The social entrepreneur understood what big major economists did not understand. And I could go on. You know, I know my speech very well. I've rehearsed. So I could be like a car dealer, you know. I'm delivering my sales speech, but I'm a bit tired because that speech, even if it's heartfelt and sincere, and if there is a lot of truth, it doesn't really translate reality. I'm like you. I'm in favor of social entrepreneurship because it's common sense. But on the other hand, I see many young people in the generation. We are from the same generation. We were born not in what we call the 30 glorious years, as we call them in France, but the 30 poorest years. And you know, we've been told them many stories, and we know that we should not believe in all of them. I've created a movement of all social entrepreneurs, and I meet hundreds of them. young and old, thin and fat, women, men, and I created this movement to help those social entrepreneurs to meet, to share, to get their company to grow. This was a movement which was also created to help those people to showcase their model and also to voice, to be a platform for their work. And what I've seen in the last 4 years, maybe you have to be nuts to be social entrepreneur. And this is also what I thought when I left my first board of administration. When I left the board, I thought, okay, your job is to be moderating a network of 400 people, of 400 people who were a bit nuts. When you are a social entrepreneur, you know it's hard. That's reality. It's a hard work. And you know, the hardest part is not having an idea and getting your company off the ground and finding money. The most difficult part of it is to translate dream to reality, to translate the speech that I've been delivering to something concrete, to really get into reality, to get at the heart of things. You will have to explain 250 times to your parents and friends that you have a proper job, that no, you're not working for an NGO, and no, you're not going to go in the third world to save the world. You know, my parents and friends, it took them maybe 3 years to understand what I do for a living. And you know, you'll have to accept the misery wage, the misery salary, the money that you'll get being an entrepreneur. And you'll have to accept that actually your parents will have to continue and pay for your rent. And maybe you regret that you didn't do that fancy school and be a good soldier and do the job that you were meant to do. You know, being this type of entrepreneur, it requires a lot of passion. And as all passion, it can destroy you. It can also destroy your private life. And maybe you will not accept failure. You know, it's difficult in France to fail. It's highly stigmatized in France to fail. You know, there are a number of social companies who were like who didn't last. And you have to be aware of all this before becoming a social entrepreneur, because it is reality. It's, you know, no pain, no gain, as our American colleagues say. When you are a social entrepreneur, it's not 100-meter run. It's rather a marathon, and it's more like a steeplechase. You have to be able to go through, to overcome all those hurdles if you want to be able to hire people and to make it possible for this social company to be a success and to be off the ground and to have a growth rate of 20% per year. So many hurdles to overcome before Overcop, you are able to provide more than 20,000 companies with power which is generated in a sustainable way. You will have to overcome a number of products before you're able to sell 8 million products, sustainable product, fair trade product like Etikable, and they are also able to provide fair wages to 35,000 local producers in the world. So you shouldn't be afraid to go behind the scenes, to go at the root levels, to put your hands in the earth. If you're not afraid, like Florent Gilbert, to be part of On the Move, which helps an unemployed person to find the best way to get to the interview place, because one of the problems in France is mobility for unemployed people. And maybe like Thomas Surier, you can demonstrate that made in France works, that you can relocalize production of jeans and sneakers and T-shirts in France. It can work. You can produce made in France T-shirts with organic cotton, and that it is possible, and that it can breathe some fresh air to the local fabric, and that it creates wealth, it creates money. Monetique had his turnover multiplied by 3 in the last 4 years. And maybe in the face of a situation that you find is unbearable, maybe you will want to devise your own solution. And to do this, you will create your own enterprise. This is what did Nathanael and Guillaume Capel. They create Singa. Singa, we heard about it very much in the last days. They developed an application to help the refugees and people who are ready to host them to get in contact. If you recognize yourself in this picture, in the picture that I've just in this table, in this picture that I've just brushed, if you're a bit nuts, just try, keep trying, once or twice, and I think what is most important is that you try to shed some light, bring some light, and help me continue to do my job and try to talk about social entrepreneurship as I did today. Thank you.